Alrighty, what is up? I'm excited to get back into the video grind. I've been slacking a little bit. In this video, what I want to do, I want to talk about the top 10 things to do before 260. Now, these aren't like mandatory, you have to do them. These are just things that were really helpful for me. So you can kind of, obviously it's your choice, pick and choose whatever you want to do. If there's something you don't want to do, feel free to don't do it. But I'm going to go over 10 things that I think helped me. So we're just going to get straight into it. So number one is very simple. Just join a guild, right? Like joining a guild, it's very easy to do. There's going to be a lot of guilds that are 260 plus, so it might be harder to find one that's when you're at like 230, 240, but I would still look for one. There's some progression guilds that you can join for sure. But joining those, one, you get the guild skills, which will just make it way easier for you to do bossing. So that's super useful. And if you're like struggling to one-shot with mobs, you can also use the guild skills for that too. So it's really useful in terms of that. But you really want to find a group of people that you can boss with, unless you're solo progressing, but I'm talking about people that aren't. But you want to find a group of people that you can boss with. And ideally, if you can find a group of people that can carry you through the harder bosses, you can only 5%. It'll speed up your progression like crazy. So that's the main reason. Join a guild. One, you get the skills, which are helpful for bossing and one-shotting. Two, you can find people to boss with and it'll just make bossing really easy or easier. And three, you can find people to carry you when you can only 5% a boss, which will help with your progression. Like for me, for example, I did normal will one time and then normal lucid I've never even done, or easy. I haven't touched normal or easy on both, but I did normal will 1 week, and then after that I got hard will and lucid carries for the rest of it until obviously I could just find struggle parties. Now I can find struggle parties very easily just because I'm a lot stronger. But like when I was only able to 5%, I didn't even do normal will or normal lucid. I just did hard will and hard lucid, and I got the arcane drops, which means I got my arcanes way faster. I haven't gotten the weapon yet, but I got all the armor pieces, and I only ever had to buy one, and I have 3 spares already as well. But that's just because I got carried early and never did the normal version. So if you can, it's definitely beneficial to find carries. That's number one. So number two is going to be very simple. Make your drop Meso gear before you get 260. That's literally it. What I mean by that is have 100% Meso and have a minimum of 80% drops, which means you need 5 items with 1 Meso line, and then you need 4 items with 1 item drop line. So you'd have, like, let's say you have 4 rings, they each have 1 Meso, and then you have your earrings that have 1 Meso. And then you have these 4 items in the middle, the 2 pendants, the eye, and the face that all have item drop. And then you'd have 100 Meso and 80% item drop. Super useful, especially when you hit 260. You're going to need fragments, right? Frags are going to be really important. And even before you're 260, node stones are super important, and familiars. So the faster you can get the Meso drop gear done, the better. I would honestly, if you can do it at like 210, do it at 210. The first set will probably cost you between like 5 and 8 billion for the whole thing. The second set, you don't have to worry about making before 260. It'll also be better the faster you do it though. If you train a lot, I would make the second set. I would prioritize it. But the second set is basically you keep the 100 Meso, but instead you have 200% drop instead of 80. So what that looks like is you have hybrid lines. So you have Meso obtained and item drop rate on the same line. These are way more expensive. The median price for this, I think, is like, it's like 3 to 5 bill or something, and you have a 75% chance of getting it with 10 bill. So it's like basically 3 to 10 billion per item, and it could be more per hybrid that you get. And you don't have to get every item hybrid, and you can also get double item drop lines. So I have 2 double item drop lines, which are very useful. You always get those if you find them, and the median for this is like 10 bill. So if you ever get one, just keep it, because it'll help you get your 200 item drop faster. You can work your way up after 260, but minimum you want 100 Meso, 80 item drop. Third is link skills. So I actually am doing a series right now where I'm making a fresh Hyperion account and working through it, and I'm leveling really fast, which means I had basically no link skills. Like I have this 7-0 to 100s, but like my link skills have been really weak. So I've been really struggling to one-shot. In literally everywhere I've been struggling to one-shot. Like when I unlocked Latch, I couldn't one-shot. When I unlocked Arcana, I couldn't one-shot. When I unlocked Morass, I couldn't one-shot. Like anything I unlocked, I cannot one-shot. But what I did was I got like 3 of the link skills to level 2. I got the Mercedes one to level 3, but that doesn't help with damage. That's just because I want as much XP as possible. But I got like 3 of the damage link skills to level 2. I got like Solace to level 2. I got Wild Rage to level 2, and I got Elementalism to level 2. And after that, I was one-shotting in basically the level before I had unlocked. Which what I mean by that is like, let's say I just unlocked Celis. That means I would one-shot in Morass, or if I just unlocked Morass, I would one-shot in Arcana. And before I was one-shotting in like none of it. So this is all just to say Link skills are extremely important for being able to one-shot, which is super important once you hit 260, because it's going to be like these mobs I think have like 3 times the health of Arcane River mobs, so it's going to be extremely hard for you to one-shot in Grandis. When I first started, I was not able to one-shot, but it took me probably like a week, and then I was able to one-shot just from like getting more damage, getting like my arcanes done. It helped me one-shot. But getting your Link skills maxed is ideal. If you can get them maxed before one-shotting, and what that means basically is get all the ones that can be level 3 to level 3, get all the ones that could be level 2 to level 2, and like any ones like this where you need like 3 different characters to make it max level, get those max level as well. Obviously you have one bossing preset, one mobbing preset. If you can get all of your Link skills maxed before your 260, I think that'll help you out a lot for one-shotting and for the new bossing that you're gonna have to do with like Will, Lucid, C10, all those types of bosses. Which C10 is like the Tenebris bosses, which are all just like right here. They're all together. It's like Gloom, Vihila, Darknell. It will really help if you can get all that done beforehand, just for one-shotting and bossing. Number 4 is kind of similar. It's Legion. So this is actually one of the main reasons I was able to start one-shotting in Grandis when I couldn't. So for me with Legion, I was probably around 7k-ish when I got to 260, just because of this event. You could get a lot of Legion very easily. I was probably like 6.5 to 7.5k Legion, and when I hit 8k and got the 3 slots, once, if you didn't know, when you hit 8k, you can fill in 3 full sections. So like you can fill in all of EXP, all of crit damage, all of normal damage. When I got that done, that's when I was able to one-shot, because I could add in a full crit damage thing if I was mobbing, right? And if you're bossing, you could add in a full IED thing, and then your IED is crazy high. That adds like 40% IED, which is crazy. So hitting 8k is actually super important for mobbing and bossing. And as you can see, so I have like the bossing filled, all the attack filled, some of the luck filled, crit damage, and IED, which helps a ton when I'm bossing. It's like my IED when I'm bossing is like 97%, which is probably way more than it needs to be. It probably needs to be like 92-ish. Super helpful for bossing. And then when I'm mobbing, I can fill in the full normal damage, the full crit damage, so I'm doing a lot of damage, the full attack. This is normally luck, and then dex, and then I can also fill in the EXP, so I'm leveling as fast as possible. I would say if you aren't one-shotting and you don't have 8k Legion, one, I think your minimum Legion you should have before you hit 260 is 6k, just so you can have, I'm pretty sure it's 6k is when you unlock the full Legion board, so you won't have like a full crit rate before you hit 6k or full boss damage. You'll probably have like 1 off, but when you hit 6k, you unlock it fully. So I would say minimum is 6k, and then you can fill out 2 of these sections at 6k, I believe. If you aren't one-shotting, especially if you just hit 260 and you're Grandis, I would put normal damage and then fill in crit damage as well. And then once you're able to one-shot without the crit damage filled, you can start putting points in EXP. If you're at 8k, that's when it's the best, because you can fill in EXP and crit damage and normal damage and like your attack, and it'll make it way easier for you to one-shot. But yeah, I would say minimum 6k Legion. Ideally, if you could hit 8k Legion before you hit 260, that's the most ideal place to be in. Next one, also very simple, is Threads of Fate. This is another one. This to me is the same thing as drop Meso gear, where I would like to get it. I would want to get this done as fast as humanly possible. So what that means is if you could get this done at 210, get it done at 210, because the earlier you do it, the better. Basically, Threads of Fate does 2 things. You get a character that has mine minerals, which you use on your professions, and it gets your professions to Meister, which is useful because you can craft things like Meister rings. You can craft like advanced boss rush potions to help you boss. You can craft like EXP accumulation potions and wealth acquisition potions, which are the most important things, honestly. These just give you 10% more EXP for 2 hours, and then this one gives you like 20% more item drop and Mesos obtained. So it's helpful for farming. You get more XP, you get more Mesos, and you get more drops, node stones, fragments, all that stuff. So you have the one with mine minerals for the professions, and then you have the one with gather herbs or chop wood to get the EXP accumulation potion and the wealth acquisition potion. You can do this at 210, do it as early as possible. Basically what you have to do, you have to get them to 50 closeness minimum. Ideally you want them at 100. You have one character with minerals, one character with gather herbs, and then one character to reset your ask every day. So how it works is you get one ask reset per day that you use at the beginning of the reset, and you don't want to reset the characters with the good abilities. So you have an extra character that's at 50 closeness or higher that does that for you. So you could just you could ask them first, it'll switch it, which you don't care about, and then you can use the ones you want. But I have a guide for that as well that I can put in the description if you don't know how to do it. But you want this as early as possible, because the earlier you get it, the earlier you can train with EXP accumulations and small wealth acquisition potions, and it's super useful when you're 260 plus, because you're like a very big way you get damage is by leveling your hexa matrix, and it costs a lot of fragments to do it. So fragments are a drop just like node stones, and the more drop rate you have, the better it'll be, which is also why making the drop meso gear is really important. So I would just try to get this done as fast as possible. The earlier the better. Before 260, I would say it should be done 100%. Sixth is familiars. So familiars are something that I like to put in early game category and then a late game category. You don't have to do, you just have to focus on the early game stuff, which is what I'm going to go over. So with familiars, before up to 260, I think what you should do is get your first 2 to 3 slots unlocked. I would say, personally, I did 3. You can do 2 and just be fine with 2. But the way you unlock them is by getting badges. So to unlock 2 slots, you just get 1 badge, which is super easy. All you have to do is get a familiar for each mob that's in that section. So for example, this oppressor badge, I would just need to get 1 familiar of potted sprout, potted morning glory, potted or grape juice bottle. And then once I double click that familiar into my familiar tab, I will unlock that badge. And once you get 1 badge, you unlock your second slot. So it's really easy to get the second slot. The third slot, however, takes a little bit of work. For the third slot, you have to unlock 10 different badges. So you can see here I have 8, 9, 10. So you have to unlock 10 of these, which means there's a lot of different mobs you got to go kill. And you don't want to do this before like 250, 255, because what you can do is there's basically a badge you can get for each one of these places, and you just have to kill the mobs for this area. And it's super simple to do these ones. And this is like, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 badges or more, even counting the Moonbridge, Labyrinth, and Limina. So you wait until you unlock all the way up to Limina, and then you can get all these badges, which make it really easy, and then you'll be able to get a couple extra. But if you don't want to do the 10 badges, because it's a lot of work getting 10, you can just do 2, or you can just do 1 badge, and then you can get 2 familiar slots opened, which is more than enough. But what I would try to get before your 260 is any amount of item drop on a familiar. If it's small, if it increases item drop, or if it's large, any amount, keep it. You can only put 1 on at a time. So whichever one you get up to 260, just have it on 1 preset. And that's like one of your presets basically done. The second preset, what I would do is you can open the lowest rarity familiars, the like common ones, and you can get IED, which is attacks ignore 15% monster defense. I would get 2 of these and have a 2 setup. So you just have, let me just take that out and show what it would look like. So you'd have 2 of these with attacks ignore 15% monster defense on your familiar, and then for your second preset, you would have increased item drop rate by whatever you get. It could be the small one, it could be the large one, it could be the medium one. But whatever you can get out of those, you could do that. If you have 3 badges, I would just get another IED familiar, so you just have 3 of them. So it would look like this. So you'd have 15% and 3 times, and when this is helpful for bossing, right? So if I turn these on right now, this is like 45% IED, which brings me from 92 to 95, right? So it's super useful. Obviously, if you ever get any boss familiars while you're trying to set this up, which are these ones, so like boss damage plus 35%, these are better. So I would put that instead of your IED if you only have 2 slots. It really depends for you if you need IED or not too, but I would set it up where you have 2 to 3 IED familiars for your bossing set, and then your mobbing one can literally just have item drop rate by a large amount. If you get anything that has like 1% damage or something like that, you could put that as your second one just to help you if you're not one-shotting. But you really just, your main focus is getting the item drop rate one. But yeah, that's how I would set up my familiars pre 260 and like at 260, and then you can start working to try to get the boss damage ones and the large item drop. Large item drop is probably like the best familiar you can get in the game, so if you do get one of those, definitely make sure to use it. Number 7 is going to be your inner ability. So you can kind of choose what you want to do here in terms of inner ability, because it really depends on what you do more. If you're not a person who does any farming at all, one, it's going to be hard for you past 260 because you kind of have to farm. Two, you can focus more on the bossing preset, but I'm going to explain the presets and what you should have before 260. Also, I would always wait to use your honor on an honor event. So there's on Sundays, sunny Sundays, there's 50% off honor. So it would cost like 8k, it would cost like 4k, right? So you can just use more for what you have. So I would always wait to roll your honor beforehand, except in the very beginning. I would try to get like one item drop line or one Meso obtained line just to have. So like when you hit 200, I would use my honor. If you can get it to legendary, you can try that. You could also use like a legendary circulator, depending if you're like in an event or something, you get one for free. It basically this just gets your inner ability to legendary right away, which is useful. But I would roll like until you get item drop or Meso obtained on the first line, and then that's it. You don't have to worry about anything else after that. Not both, just one. You just need one of the two. So what you want to do with item drop is you have one preset, which is 18% plus. So it's like 18 to 20% is what you want item drop here. The other two don't really matter, but you want 18 to 20%. And this is what you use for your boss loot rooms. So whenever you're done, whenever you do your bossing, let's say you're doing like will, right? At the end of the boss, you're gonna have to break the like box or whatever to unlock all the loot. Before you do that, you want to switch to your item drop rate preset, which this one's literally just used for opening boss loot rooms. And if you're killing bosses, you can just have it on just to get more drops, right? So there's one for that. And if you don't boss that often, obviously this one you don't really have to do. The second preset I have that you can do, you'll probably have a lower version of this at 200. I would say it's probably good to get Meso obtained or item drop rate, one of the two as your top line. But by the time you're 260 or like when you hit 260, it would be ideal if you, especially if you farm a lot, that's super useful. You get one line Meso obtained on it or one line item drop rate at the max. So like the legendary versions, which is like probably 18 to 20% as well. So like obviously this one's 19% Meso. I can get it to 20 as the max. But if you can get Meso obtained and item drop rate, one line of each on your farming preset, that is really useful. If you just get one, that's fine too. Also, if you don't farm, you don't really have to worry about it. But it is super useful. And also there are specific characters that have different inner abilities. So I would also make sure to always check your Discord, your class Discord. And once you check your class Discord, it'll let you know if that's actually what you're supposed to get or not. So make sure with inner ability, you check your class Discord, but ideally you have an item drop one that is high item drop so that you can get boss loot rooms. The second one is Meso obtained or item drop rate. The third one for mine is specifically supposed to be normal monster damage, but I would say just getting these two done by 260 is fine. Like I'm 272 and this is still what I have. So it's definitely more than enough. The third one is boss damage for my character. That's what I'm supposed to have as my first line. This one's 15 to 20% at the top line. But if you can get boss damage as your first line and whatever your useful second line is, I would just get that. The goal really for me when I hit 260 was to get 2 useful lines for my mobbing and my farming preset. So like, for me, I got Mesos obtained and item drop rate, and I'm like, that's good for now. I'll wait till an honor event and I'll try to get it. I'll try to min-max it as much as possible during that. But for now, 2 useful lines, right? Which is Meso obtained, item drop rate. These are my 2 like best in slot lines. So if you can get yours, that's really good. And then for my bossing, this isn't my 2 best in slots. My first one is right, boss damage is my best, but buff duration is supposed to be abnormal damage to targets. So, but buff skill duration is still useful, so I just kept it for now. So ideally just get your 2 useful lines. If you don't get the 2 best in slot, I would say get the first best in slot and then the second one can just be a useful line, and that's good enough for your familiars or for your inner ability. Number 3 is gear wise, what I think you should have by the time you're 260. So you should have 3 set CRA, which is the top, the bottom, and the hat. Ideally, I would say at 21 stars. The earlier you can 21 your CRA, the better, I think. I did mine really early. I did mine probably at like 240 or something. It made it to where I was always one-shotting. The only time I like struggled for a little bit was when I just hit Grandis. Even that didn't last very long. I would recommend getting your CRAs to 21 as early as you can. Is the first items you should 21 star, because you're gonna have these for a very long time. They're like one of the items that stays with you the longest, along with probably your emblem. But they will stay forever, or like almost forever, until you get like eternal items, which are like really high up bosses. I'm not even close to that, and I'm 272, so that just tells you that. But CRA, the hat, the top, the bottom, you want at 21. Ideally, this is also, you wait for a 5, 10, 15 or a Shining Star Force. I did mine on a Shining Star Force, so it made it a lot cheaper. But you wait for the Star Forcing events to get that. Not a 30%, you want a 5, 10, 15 or Shining. So CRAs, 21 star. The next thing you want by then is you want your Absolab stuff at 17 stars. And what I mean by Absolab is you want the cape, the gloves, the shoulder, the boots, and the weapon. So it's 5 items. You want these at 17. You don't really go past 17 because you'll get arcanes. If you are leveling extremely fast and it's going to take you forever to get arcanes, you could go past 17. But I would say at 260, you want minimum your Absolab gear at 17 stars. And you want to be working towards arcanes. So you should have CRA, Absolab, CRA at 21, Absolab at 17. But you want to be already working towards your arcane stuff as early as possible, which is a mistake that I made. I didn't really work towards the Lucid and Will before I hit 260, which I would always check even before your 260 to see if you can at least do normal Lucid and Will. If you can at least do 5% on normal, you can try to get a carry for normal Lucid and Will. That might be harder to find than hard Lucid and hard Will, but if you can do like 5%, if you can do 10%, you can try to do a struggle. I would just try to do normal Lucid and Will as early as possible so you can work on your arcanes. Basically, you need these droplets, and then you need other droplets that you have to buy for like 50 mil Mesos per droplet, and then you can unlock your arcanes. It costs like 12 coins and then 24 for the weapon. It's the same way you unlock Absolab basically, but it's a different boss you have to kill and a different core thing that you have to buy from any like general store that's in Arcane River. I would be 17 star Absolab and then working towards getting my arcanes as early as you can. So whenever you can do Lucid and Will on normal, just do it as fast as possible. And with the Absolab, you don't really have to get anything to legendary or even like past epic. The reason I have like this is unique. I put like sometimes I'll just randomly throw a hard cube on something and then it'll get it in 1. So that's like I just get something upgraded once, which is useful. But I would say just keep them at epic. If you are struggling with damage, you could get legendary on your gloves and get 1 line of crit damage on your gloves. Like I have it on my arcane gloves, but you can do it on Absolab depending on how much money you have and if you're struggling to do damage, but it does help a lot. That's number 8. Basically 17 star your Abso, 21 star your CRA. It'll probably help you one shot in Grandis. Keep your potentials probably like epic. And then number 9 is gonna be more for bossing than it is for mobbing, because you don't really have these, most of them, but it's gonna be 2 to 4 set superior Gollux, which 4 set is extremely helpful when it comes to bossing. Like as you can see from this, 4 set gets you boss monster damage 30% and IED plus 30%, which is super useful for bossing. And it'll help you 5% harder bosses. So like when you get into 260 area, it's going to be hard for you to do bosses like hard Will and hard Lucid. You could probably get carries for, but it'll be hard for you to struggle them right at 260. Vihilla will be hard. Chaos Guardian Slime, Gloom, all these like hard Dark Nail, hard Vihilla will be hard for you to do, but getting the 4 set Gollux alone will make it way easier to get like the damage you need, just because the 30% on both is so useful. So obviously this means you want to be running Helix every day as early as possible before you hit 260. The way you do Helix is if you have one of the purple keys or whatever, these Fallen Heart Tree keys, you just use this. It'll take you straight to the hardest version of Gollux. If you don't have one of these, you just use a normal key and you don't kill any of his body parts. So don't kill his shoulders, don't kill his like heart thing in the middle. And then you just go straight into the room and then you'll be in the hardest version. Basically, you want to do it every day and you want to get as many coins as possible so that you can buy the pendant and the ring. You're not going to buy the earrings or the belts because you can get those 2 as drops from Gollux or Helix specifically. The coins you save to buy the ring and the pendant. It costs like 700 coins each. I don't remember how long it takes. I think it takes like 2 months to get all this. to get each of them. It's probably like a month for every 700 coins or whatever. So it does take a minute. So you want to be working on this as early as possible. And I found, I don't know exactly when you can do Helix, but I would just check it. It does suck because you can't practice that boss, but I would try, like, if you're only doing the normal version, do the hard version and see if you can do the hard version. And once the hard version gets like pretty quick to do, I would go give Helix a try. He is hard to kill for the beginning, but as soon as you can get the 4 set, the sooner the better. Just run Helix every day. Use your coins to buy the pendant and then buy the ring, whichever order you want, doesn't really matter. I would just do it based off your lowest piece of gear. If you have like 4 rings that are really good and you have 1 pendant that's good, 1 pendant that sucks, buy the pendant first. But that's number 9, is just get your superior Gollux set as fast as possible. 4 set ideally. Run Helix daily. It helps with bossing a ton. Save coins for the pendant and the ring. You just gotta hope for a belt and an earring drop, but they are super useful. 10, finally, is you want to get in the habit of saving Mesos for events. So once you're 260, even before then, but more when you're 260, you want to be saving your Mesos and not really spending it off of events, because the gains that you have to make now once you're 260 cost a lot more. So I'm just going to give an example. I'm going to go to the cubing calculator. So for example, let's just say we wanted our accessories to, we were trying to get early game drop gear, right? Early game drop gear, which is just 1 line of Meso obtained. We'll say we're going for 1 line. That costs 99 mil median, 198 mil at a 75% chance. So let's say 200 mil-ish per item, right? To get 1 line of Meso, to get 1 line of drop, it's the exact same price. Now, if I want a hybrid line, which is what I was talking about, when you're 260 plus, you're going to start upgrading to hybrid lines, right? Which is 1 line of item drop and 1 line of Meso. That is going to cost 3.2 bill median, 6.5 bill, 75% chance, right? You actually use bright cubes for this, so it's 2.5 median and 5 bill, 75% chance. This is not counting the cost to get it from rare to legendary also, right? So that's going to make it more expensive. But just the difference between that, right? So it's a 2.5 bill median to a 100 bill median. So something like that is just a lot more expensive. And these are everything you have to do, the higher you get, is more expensive. So for example, let's say like I need to start getting 23% stat on my arcanes, right? So on my arcanes, I want 23% stat minimum. So let's say I'm trying to do it with the shoulder. So the shoulder is level 200. I'm going to use glowing. I want, we'll say 24%. That's going to cost me 100, like a bill median, basically. And 2 bill, 75% chance with 2 bill to get just 24% stat on your shoulders. So like, for example, my shoulder's like 33. That's a 5 bill cost for just getting 1 line of potential. And that's not even guaranteed. It's like you have a 75% chance at 10 bill. So doing stuff like this off event is going to be way more expensive. So you want to save all your Mesos for events. And then during the event, you do everything that you need to do. So like, for example, if you have to Star Force stuff, save it for a Star Force event. If you're getting stuff from like 0 to 10 or 0 to 12, you can use a 30% off event and then just get everything you need from 0 to 12. And then you can wait for like a 5, 10, 15, and then you can get the stuff to 17 using a 5, 10, 15. And if you're trying to get to 21 stars, you could wait for 5, 10, 15, or you could wait for a Shining Star Force, which is 5, 10, 15, and a 30%. And then if you're doing like potentialing, you can wait for miracle times if you need to get the stuff to legendary. So let's say I need to get these shoes to legendary and they're epic. There's a miracle time actually coming up in like 5 days or 4 days. That'll help me get this from epic to legendary at a cheaper cost. So that's the reason I'm waiting for that. And I got these arcane boots like almost a month ago. So that really shows how much I'm actually waiting for this, just for it to be a little bit cheaper. This means patience is very important at this stage in the game. So you're not going to be gaining like CP or anything super often anymore, because it's going to be harder to get the items you need. All the drop rates are lower for all these higher level items. 2, it's going to cost you more for everything, right? So you're going to want to wait for events for all this stuff, so you save your Mesos for events. Now, me personally, I basically save all my Mesos for events, and I blow it all on the event. Like, I will spend from whatever I have to 0. You don't have to do that, but I save it all to spend it all on the event, and then I save it all again to spend it all again on the event. That's how I do it. You don't have to do it that way, but you want to save your stuff, your Mesos, for events for the most part. If you're doing something like 0 to 12, you could do that off event. Even like now, because I can make decent income pretty like easily with little work, I'll like 17 star stuff off event, but like it's like one thing, right? And if I'm going to 21, I'm never going to try to 21 something off of an event. Even like 17 starring stuff before, like when you're just fresh 260, I would wait for an event to do that, just because it's probably harder for you to get Mesos. But yeah, saving your Mesos is super important, and doing all your stuff on event, you'll make more gains for the same amount of money, so it's just more useful to save it. But yeah, that's basically all the tips I have. That's all 10. If you have any questions, if you have any other tips as a person who's like past 260 on what helped you out, feel free to leave a comment below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. I'm on the road to 1K. Thank you for watching.